The scapegoating mechanism. This is one of the most profound realizations that I've come across in my research on women and leadership and my work with clients who are making important transitions in their personal and professional lives. The idea of the scapegoat being within communities and relational contexts when there is someone who is identified as an other and who is systematically eliminated from a particular community, work context, or family arrangement. And it is something that can come up very unexpectedly and put social systems, in particular the individual who's experiencing the scapegoating, in this sense of just complete and utter disorientation. What is happening? Why am I being treated like this? Why am I feeling like I'm being pushed out? And this is something that I've taken really seriously in my dissertation research on clergy women in Protestant denominations that are relatively progressive denominations, young Gen X millennial female clergy being systematically scapegoated and pushed out of the ministry. And what happens in these contexts is there's a subtext, something else that is going on than what's really being presented on the surface. Oftentimes there are misplaced accusations and blame that are placed on a woman in this situation, but really underneath the surface is this feeling that we do not like the fact that this female individual has agency, autonomy, and boundaries, and we are going to eliminate her in whatever way we can get away with. So oftentimes scapegoating is seen as this ancient practice or this behavior that happens in large-scale warfare. We think of the Holocaust. We think of genocide that continues to happen today throughout the world, where one group is pitted against the other. And that indeed is also scapegoating, trying to eliminate this perceived contagion. It runs rampant within society and has historically been the case as well. But when we think about our more intimate and personal lives, aside from large social movements, this scapegoating mechanism is really, really painful and traumatic for those who experience it. And naming it and identifying it, in particular within my research and my work with female clients, has been a really liberating process of enabling people to move beyond this systemic derailment that occurs to them in both their personal and professional lives and be able to move forward as a complete whole individual and be able to process and digest what it had felt like to be targeted in this way. So scapegoating itself is nothing new to humans. I think in today's society, we identify it as a very dangerous and harmful behavior that happens in society. There are safeguards against it in the judicial system, the ability to prosecute behaviors in which individuals or groups of people are othered. There are people who, for a living, work on identifying human rights abuses in which this is exhibited and prosecuting that and making sure that publicly it is seen as unjust and not okay to identify and eliminate people in these ways. But when you think of more private and familial and personal settings, a lot more of this behavior can go by off the radar. And that includes nuclear family systems, where private behavior is kind of exhibited behind closed doors, in intimate partner relationships, and also in my research and my experience as a ordained clergy in the church, where separation of church and state prevents this kind of behavior from being prosecuted or identified in a public way. So the reason why I bring this up quite a bit in my research with clients and also my doctoral research is because there is a subconscious element that happens with scapegoating where people don't really know themselves why they're behaving in a certain way, why they would want to eliminate or push someone out of a particular social context. And it's important in this work that I do to identify the root causes of why someone would be treated in this way and to help protect that person in future relationships and to remove oneself from social situations where scapegoating might be a potentiality. So the research that I draw upon when I do work in systematic scapegoating or systemic scapegoating is the work of René Girard. He is an American-French cultural anthropologist. He has recently passed away, but he is very prolific, and he describes what is known as mimetic scapegoating. Mimetic meaning imitation, the desire that human beings have to imitate one another, to have what another person has. It's an interesting way of looking at envy and jealousy through a very sociological lens. I will unpack this further in future videos, this notion of mimetic theory, the fact that we scapegoat individuals who ultimately we wish we were them. There's something that they have, an ability or a aspect to themselves that we wish we were, that we tend to attack and eliminate, target, and blame those individuals. And when we remove them, they're no longer a threat to us, no longer a reminder that they have what we don't. This is particularly dangerous among women who have been denied agency, voice, opportunity in their lives. When they see and interact with women who have that agency that they deeply long for, there's a very slippery slope toward blame and scapegoating among women in those situations. So the more we're able to identify this kind of behavior in our own relational and professional lives, the more we can take agency and awareness around perhaps that there is something that has nothing to do with me personally, but there is a system surrounding me in which these unhealthy behaviors are occurring, and to remove ourselves from those people and those systems who are behaving in that way.